Ollie Watkins and Jean-Philippe Mateta has emerged as the possible options for Manchester United. Now, before we get into the video, you should all know by now, you hear it on numerous videos, smash the likes. Likes just push this out to the next person. And also, if you're brand new, it'd be nice to get some more subscribers, especially if you support Manchester United. But the latest is, and the narrowed options are now down to, because of Sesko being too expensive, and also Nicholas Jackson being too expensive unless Chelsea change their stance. And if anyone else, they're just not really attainable. Did we really think we were getting Isak? I don't think so. I don't think so anyways. So, getting into the video, it's nice to know that from Samuel Luckhurst, he has reported that Jean-Philippe Mateta and also Watkins, who we have had inquiries for in the last couple of days, have emerged as the contenders to be the new number 9s at Manchester United. Now, if anyone's watched me on this channel, anyone at all, you lot would know that how I am a big admirer of Mateta. I love lampposts. For me, when there's lampposts, then you've always got an option in the box, in the air. And also, he brings a big time of hold up. Something that we haven't exactly had, and why we cry for Xerxes. If you think of someone that's going to facilitate the middle or the focal point of the spearhead of Manchester United's attack, you do believe, if you view that profile, he would probably get the best out of Cunha and Mbumo. You know, he plays in a similar system. On the other hand, and also a little bit younger, on the other hand, you've got Watkins. We speak a lot about Watkins on this channel. I really want him as well, if possible. It's nice to know that these two could be the contenders of pretty much Man United's shortlist. Whether that's true or not, which kind of makes sense now. Premier League proven, you put 2 and 2 together. You know, with Watkins, you got someone that's going to be relentlessly running him behind, pressing relentlessly, if I can use that word again, but also getting in amongst the goals and assists on top of that, better than probably what Philippe Mateta can offer. But it's always going to come down to one thing and one thing alone. The price tag. Now, we've dealt with Brentford. We knew how that went. It didn't exactly go to plan, and they kept changing their minds. Now, we thought Brentford were bad. Brighton are just as bad. Then what do we think is going to happen with the likes of Crystal Palace? They don't budge in their prices. One thing they're not pushovers. And they charge extortionate prices, in my opinion. Even when Gay, I know he's an England international, a little bit different as well than that, and he's a prized possession of theirs, and pretty much I'm going to believe Mateta is, but when he had 2 years left, they were asking for along the lines of 65 million. Now, when it comes to Mateta, who's not signed a new contract as of yet, but there was an extension back in December 2024, if we're going to focus on that target, well, allegedly, I don't know how credible this exactly is. Maybe I should have more research. But if I remember, this summer, when he was linked with AC Milan, they were quoting him around the mark of 35 million. Back in January, they quoted him around the likes of 40 million pounds. I feel like this is a no-brainer on Manchester United's behalf, but knowing that when it are reported prices, considering the striker market, considering Manchester United have reportedly been after a number 9, and it said that we're definitely going to get one this summer, just we don't know when, I'm going to think that Mateta is going to be available. I changed my mind a little bit, but I reckon they will ask for 50 million pounds, but I would not be surprised if they're seeing Watkins go for a certain price. And I know he's done a lot better over the last 4 or 5 years, England international again. They're seeing Nico Jackson's going price as well. The Sesko going price on top of that. I would not be surprised if they ask for around 60 million pounds. Now, I do believe Mateta is the type, and Watkins, to push for a move. They will ask their respective clubs to move if such a big club like Manchester United come in the fold. Now, I don't know who you guys want, so you're going to have to let me know in the comments, right? My preferred choice, if available, if concrete, I'd be all over Mateta. I think he's a little bit younger, you know, giving him a 5-year contract. If you're going off what Ben Jacobs said about Ollie Watkins, you know, as much as United have inquired and been told he's not for sale, but let alone have a 60 million price tag, we've been told other players are also not for sale, aka Vissa, Isak, and look how the stance has changed. So never say never, and Watkins is the type to probably kick up a fuss. But the big issue is the contract length. You know, United probably don't want to give Watkins at 29 years of age a 5-year contract. Now, if it was along the lines of a 3+1, I don't think Watkins would like that. Not for me. Unless you give him a little bit more money and there's a club option of a year or something along them lines. Maybe a total of 4 years just on the straight there, no +1s, optional maybe. Then I'm pretty sure that could be more attainable. It just depends what Watkins wants and what he desires. I would love a profile like that. Now, what we always talk about is the guaranteed goals. United's guaranteed goals are quite low at the moment, even with Mbeumo and Cunha. Hence why I feel like there was a little bit of talk around maybe not so much of a proven striker in terms of Šeško, so that I can see where the comments would come in. But if you want to survive and you want to change your way of doing things, there's nothing better than these two in the Premier League. Let's go through it. The one thing we know about Manchester United is, one, they've been reportedly wanting a Premier League proven striker, and two, they want someone that's going to come in and change the game pretty much for them. I don't think any of these are going to change the game, but I feel like Mateta will edge that a little bit more than Watkins. See, one thing I like about Mateta is the way he's adapted to different opponents. You know, when he can play hold-up play, even when the game's not going for him, he can still be a handful. He can definitely lean on defenders and make them a little bit more tired. And he doesn't really need a lot of space to operate in, unlike Watkins, who probably needs a little bit more space. I always prefer those type of strikers, and that's just a preference thing. I don't know what your preference is. You know, I'm pretty sure someone in the comments may say a completely different name. Why are we not going for someone, I don't know, like the FC Porto guy, the one up front, Samu Omarodion? Well, he's not Premier League proven, and that's what United want. Then we're going to have to go around that mark. But the biggest issue in all of this, bar the goalkeeper, bar anything else or a midfielder, is how quick can you shift Garnacho? Now, one thing that we know about Garnacho is that there is high interest through Chelsea, but because they're dealing with Xabi Simons, there's not really a lot of movement on that front. And the other issue is, on the other part, is that with Aston Villa, whilst talking, reported by Ben Jacobs, said on the United Stand earlier, is that, you know, when having these conversations, Alejandro Garnacho's name has not come up as of yet. So, we might have to wait a little bit longer. The whole Chris Wheeler, the post, what he put out yesterday on X, aka Twitter, is that, United, we might not actually have a striker come the first game of the season against Arsenal. No, and I don't think a lot of us would argue if you have Xerxes playing. But it's like, what about the other areas? There's enough money to go and get Larmans. So maybe we might have a new goalkeeper in there at the very least. So we're going to have to wait on that front. But one thing I love about Mateta is his link-up. You know, if you see what he done with Eze in the FA Cup final, or pretty much most of the other times, his tally's only going up. I feel like he's having his Guirassy kind of moment. Guirassy wasn't exactly a proven goal scorer in his younger days in 24, 23. Go check out yourself. He was a very competent striker, though. Definitely much of a poacher. But he's just been getting better with age. We could have picked him up for the likes of, 15 million last season, and we said no. So thank you very much for that one. Or was it the season before? Can't exactly remember. Now, I always look at strikers thinking they get to a certain age and they just absolutely boom. A bit like Watkins. First couple seasons at the likes of Aston Villa when he came through the door, didn't score many, many goals. He was used in different positions at times, even off the left wing. But after that is when he had his best tally of scoring about, 19 goals, I believe? Or was it like something like 14 goals, then 19 goals, and then 16 goals? Same thing with Mateta. Last year, Crystal Palace had their bit of a boom. He was around 26. Not the season that went, the season before. I believe he got around a tally of about 13 odd goals. And even this year, I think he's done even better. So I feel like with United, can we give him them better quality players? Well, obviously, he didn't have, doesn't exactly have Eze. I mean, but you got Cunha now. Had Elise, he got Mbeumo now. Surely that tally goes up. So United, do the right thing. Do the right thing. Give me Mateta. It would be nice to see that United have some sort of inquiries or an official statement by David Ornstein saying that we have, approached said club for said player. I don't mind which one it is. it's just I'm desperate to change this attack as much as possible so Ruben Amorim can have his players to go further forward and tackle the Premier League overall. And we'll see what happens later in the window. But the more we leave this this striker situation, the longer it's going to take to even go get a possible central midfielder. That's just my biggest fear. There are some bargains out there, and I'm not too sure why we're not going in for that or those said situations. And the key is in all of this to getting either a player is always going to be that one that is kicking up a ruckus called Alejandro Garnacho, because he is not good enough for this club. Anyways, smash the likes, make sure you subscribe, and yeah, let's wait and see in a bit.